All right, let's discuss the double exposure project. Now, this project is going to be your mastery project to prove to me that you understand the back half of this chapter, which is on blending modes and adjustments and making sure that you understand how these things work together. So you're going to get a picture of yourself, really no more than waist up. So this is as much as we want here. Basically, we're going to be putting the picture inside of your body. So we need to have a good chunk of body, and your legs are your skinny part, so those don't work, okay? So you're going to get that picture. It's going to be easiest for you if you take it on a white background, so waist up on white against a wall or something, just so it's easy to select. Now, we need it to be a pretty good selection as far as sharp. So if we're looking here at this one, you can see my layer mask is, and let me put it so you can see it, it's pretty sharp. There's a little bit of touch up that I could do here. But like, we want it to be pretty sharp. We don't want to have fuzzy edges anywhere. So if you do, please go in and like touch up any of the little fuzzy pieces that are hanging off, just so that it's a good selection. Now it's cool if you've got some little strands of hair, as long as they're not feathery. We don't want a bunch of featherness. I don't think that's a word, but we can pretend. We don't want the feathering look. We want it to be, for the most part, pretty solid, okay? So anyway, you're going to put that in there, and I've got a list of steps for you on Canvas. So be sure that you're following those steps. Do it all in order. Get all your pictures first. So get the picture of you. Get a picture of something colorful that represents either like a place you want to go, maybe where you want to live in the future, or maybe something that represents a goal of yours for the future. You're going to explain it in your video, so as long as you can explain it, it's cool. Okay, and then your third image needs to be what we're going to use for an overlay. So overlays are really common in photography. You'll see photographers that go in and add things later that weren't in the picture, but you just think it's some cool effect. It's really not. It's an overlay. So some of the common ones that you might want to look for, you can look for texture overlays. Like you can see here, for instance, this person uses a texture overlay on theirs. Lots of photographers are going to have overlays, which you won't be able to see all of those here, but they add overlays over the top. Bokeh is really common. Those are those little lights, bokeh overlays. There, like the little dots that you see sometimes. So you can go and download a bokeh overlay. You probably want to get something that's mostly on a black or a white background though, because you're going to use blending modes to make it work for your picture, okay? So again, I'm just going to show you some examples here, but so anyway, so you need to have those three images first, okay? And then in your steps, you're going to open your image, you're going to select yourself, you're going to make sure it's on a good mask and it's not fuzzy. But before you do that, I'm going to ask that you resize your picture, especially if you're on a Chromebook. So we want to stay around 1200 pixels. Mine's a little over, 1350 is okay, but just because on a Chromebook, it's not going to run as smoothly. Now, if you're in the desktop lab, it's probably going to be fine. But if you're on a Chromebook, the bigger your image, the slower selecting and everything else is. So resize it if you need to under image and image size. And then from there, select, add your mask, and then continue your steps. You are going to add a gradient fill layer. So you want your gradient fill to be very gentle. So like a pale color to a white, and you can change the angle. So I have mine going like white down here to pale on this one. On the one that I have done back here in Photopea, same thing, I kind of have a white to a lighter or a more dark blue, I guess, on this one. Either way, we want to have some sort of very gentle gradients. And we're not rainbows, nothing crazy, no really super light to super dark. Okay, it's just something very subtle for your background. All right, then above your image, we're going to start clipping stuff in, including adjustment layers. And you must include at least 2 adjustment layers above your picture. So changing the contrast and brightness using like levels. So for instance, I have a levels on this one. So you notice as I pull that in, the black parts get darker, or the gray would be the middles. And this may be one of those things that like when you get it done, you're going to come back and like investigate what settings you like for this, right? Because as you begin it, you don't really know. But you need to have at least 2. So you might do a levels here. I also did a black and white with a tint. And so you can see it's kind of tinted that one color. If I take the tint off, the black and white would just be black and white. If I took it off, we'd be in full color. And we kind of miss out on some of it when it's in complete full color. So consider what you want to do there. Again, it's going to be your call because it's your project and you're going to explain it to me. So at least 2 adjustments. And again, you may want to look at them again later. Then drop in your photo of your place. So you can see here I have a cityscape. And then it's clipped in, because if it wasn't clipped in, it would go all the way out here beyond the bounds of her, and we don't want that to happen. Notice this has a lighten screen mode. Otherwise, my blending mode is going to look like that. That's normal. So if I put it on lighten, then it kind of fades through. We can see parts of it, and so forth. And you can choose, which ones. And probably lighten is going to be the one that most of you will use on this project, just because of the type of picture that we're dealing with. All right, and then you're going to follow that same process. You're going to bring in that other thing that's going to be like a texture or an overlay. So on this example, I have a fog overlay. So this was a picture of fog. And it's kind of hard to see because I've got all these things are blending with each other. But it was a picture of fog. You can see it over here. And then we've got that overlay set. Now see, like, you can get different looks here. But you have to be very careful because see, like, here's where the end of another one of these is. So you may need to add a lot of layer masks, and you may need to go through and touch those layer masks up to remove any hard lines. Okay, so like my New York picture is causing my hard lines here. I might want to go to my city picture with a big black paintbrush and just paint out that bottom line a little bit so there's no line there. Okay, again, everybody's is going to be different here, so there's no 100% right way to do this. But you do have to have your picture and then some sort of overlay. And you might have multiple overlays. Like I could throw another one in here. This one here I have on screen mode, but if I set it on normal, it looks like this. Okay, but I could go in here, put this one on screen, and now I've got some little stars and stuff in here. So I'll clipping mask this one in, and then I've got those stars. I need to clipping mask my overlay back in. But there you go. Okay, so you just kind of have to play around with it. Let me turn these back on so we can actually see what's going on. Just kind of have to play around with it and, decide what you want. Everybody's is going to look different. So I just want you to play. So there's that one. Here's another one. We got some bokeh going on this side. She wants to go to Disney World. We don't want your face covered up, so make sure that your facial expression we can see. So if you do put a texture over the top, be sure you use a really soft brush, but we don't want to have like dots and crusty stuff going on top of your face. So make sure that we can see your face, but everywhere else you should have stuff that's clipping masked in. So, all right, I hope that helps explain to you what to do. You will submit a video submission with this one. I should see your screen much like this, and you talking about why you chose what you did. You will go through and turn off things and then basically start from the back and work your way up and tell me your processes and what you did and what decisions that you made. Here I chose this grunge background and then later decided I didn't like it, so I turned it off and then went with this bokeh instead. So, you can explain your thought process. You might have multiple overlays, and that's fine too. So anyway, have fun, make it your own.